जय जय श्री राधे। श्री श्री रास बिहारी निजू की जय हो। सब वैष्णवों को जय श्री कृष्ण। सानंद सदैन्य सादर सप्रेम जय जय Shri Krishna. Today continuing with Varta 247, the wonderful Varta of Govind Das, or Govind Swami, Shri Gosaiji's Ashtachap Kavi, and it's day 244 today. Continuing from yesterday, Varta Prasang Das, part 10. Shri Govardhanaji rode upon Govind Das's back as if he were a horse. He would sit upon his back and go to the forest. Once when he was sitting like this and they were going along, Govind Das needed to pass water. He stood on the path and passed water just like that. A Vaishnava was passing by and said, "Hey, Govind Das, what are you doing?" Govind Das did not even reply to him. He walked away towards the tree, near the place to drink water. After he had performed the arati, Sri Gosaiji was sitting in his betak. That Vaishnav came there and said to him, "O Maharaj, that Govind Das was bent over and stood there passing water." And as he was saying this, Govind Das arrived, and Sri Gosaiji asked him, "What is this Vaishnava saying about you, that you were on the path bent over while standing up and passing water?" Govind Das replied, "Does a horse sit down to pass water?" That Vaishnava was not able to see that Srinaji had taken me as his horse and was sitting on my back at that time, so I was not able to sit down to pass water. So I did it standing up. He saw me doing that, but he did not see that Srinaji was sitting on my back. Hearing this, the Vaishnava prostrated before Sri Gosaiji and said, "Oh, glorious is this Govind Das, whom you have graced so highly." Govind Das was a recipient of Sri Govardhanaji's great grace and a beloved Vaishnava. Part 11. Once Sri Gosaiji had come to Srinaji Dwar, he performed the night-time arti and then settled the Lord down to his rest. He then went down to sit in his betak. He was sitting on his cushions and the Vaishnavas sat in front of him. The Vaishnavas all supplicated Sri Gosaiji, "O Maharaj, does Govind Das partake of Mahaprasad before the Rajbhog Arti?" Govind Das arrived there at this moment. Sri Gosaiji asked him, "O Govinda Das, these Vaishnavas are saying that you partake of Mahaprasad before the Rajbhog Arti. Is this so?" Govind Das supplicated, "O Maharaj, what can I do? My hands are tied, because as soon as you have completed the Rajbhog Arti and settled the Lord down for his afternoon nap in the temple, your lad comes and stands before me and calling me to go to play with him. That is why I partake of my prasad beforehand." Sri Gosaiji replied, "Do not have your prasad before the Rajbhog Arti. When the Arti is over, then you should come here for your prasad." Govind Das said, "O Maharaj, as you wish." The next day, as soon as the Rajbhog Arti was over, Govind Das had the holy sight of the Lord and then came and sat down to have his prasad. Shri Govardhanaji, as soon as his lunchtime seva was complete, came to stand in the temple courtyard and waited for Govind Das. When he had partaken of his prasad, Govind Das arrived there. Shri Govardhanaji asked him, "Why are you so late? Where were you? I went back and forth 3 times to the courtyard to wait for you. I stood there looking for you." Govind Das replied, "O Maharaj, as soon as your prasad was ready, I ate. Yesterday evening, Shri Gosaiji told me that I must only partake of prasad after the Rajbhog Arti. That is what I did today." Hearing this, Srinaji kept quiet. He got on Govind Das's back, who then carried him to the forest. Later on, when it was time for the afternoon Uttapan Seva, Sri Gosaiji bathed and went up to the temple and sounded the conch shell. He entered the temple and began to fill Srinaji's water pot. Srinaji addressed Sri Gosaiji, "You ordered Govind Das to take his prasad only after the Rajbhog Arti. Today, because of this, my going to the forest to play was delayed. I had to come back and forth to the temple courtyard to wait for him. I stood there for quite some time. When Govind Das finally arrived, I climbed up on his back and he carried me to the forest for play. Please therefore now tell him that he can have his prasad as he used to." Sri Gosaiji made the Uttapan offerings and then he descended and immediately summoned Sri Govind Das. Govind Das came there and prostrated before Sri Gosaiji, who smiled when he saw him. He spoke to Govind Das, "O Govind Das, please partake of your prasad just as you used to do. There is nothing wrong in that. You were late taking prasad and Srinaji had to stand and wait for you." Govind Das accepted the command and prostrated to Sri Gosaiji. Sri Gosaiji again ascended to the temple and accepted back the Uttapan offerings as prasad before making a pause in the seva. In this way, Govinda Das was the recipient of Sri Naji's great grace and an accomplished Vaishnava, Sri Naji's close friend. Part 12. Once Govinda Das was sitting at Yashoda Ghat. It was early in the morning. Govind Das began to play the alap, or introduction, to the Bhairav Rag. Govind Das was a very good singer with a sweet voice. His Bhairav Rag rendering was beyond words. A low-caste barbarian of filthy habits was passing by and heard this alap. Hearing it, he began to shake his head, saying, "Vah, vah." What a wonderful alap to the bear of a rag. Govind Das heard him say this, and he said, now that rag has become polluted, because that infidel praised the bear of rag, I will never again sing it for Srinathji. It has been polluted. Govind Das gave up singing and composing in the bear of a rag, and from that day on he was a very strict Vaishnava and a recipient of great grace. Part 13. Another time, Govind Das was on Sri Yashoda Ghat. He would start to chat with anyone who came there to fill their water pots. He kept the Lord within his heart, and if a clever person happened by, then he would start up a new discussion with them. One day like this, he was sitting there when a renunciate came by. He began to sing, but his pitch, rhythm, words and rag were all wrong. When Govind Das heard him sing, he spoke out, "Oh, renunciate, please stop singing. Do not spoil this whole art of song. Your pitch, raga and singing style are all wrong. Why therefore are you singing? People should not sing if they are incapable of doing so." The renunciate answered back, "I am pleasing my Lord Ramji with my singing. What does it matter if I can't sing properly? My tune must be pleasing to my Ramji, no?" Govind Das said, "Your Lord Ram is not so simple that he would be pleased to listen to such singing. Please do not sing." The renunciate kept quiet. The Lord's grace was such upon Govind Das that he dared to speak frankly to everyone. Part 14. Govind Das was very good at tying turbans. Once when he was on the way from Mahavan to Gokul, a Brajvasi pulled his turban off his head. Govind Das addressed him, "Oh, twit, there are 16 folds in this turban. Tie it properly or else I shall come back to your house and take it back from you." The Brajvasi fell at his feet and gave him back the turban. Govind Das was indeed an accomplished Vaishnava. Part 15. Once Govind Das was sitting on the outskirts of Mahavan, composing and singing Leela Kirtans. Sri Gokulnathji came there to listen, but he told his personal attendant to make sure to call him when his father Sri Gosaiji went to partake of his Mahaprasad. When Sri Gosaiji would go to partake of Mahaprasad, then the attendant would make sure to call Sri Gokulnathji inside. He always did this, but this one day the man got caught up with some other work, and when Sri Gosaiji went to partake of Prasad and called all his sons to come there too, he noticed that Sri Gokulnathji, a.k.a., also known as Sri Vallabh, was not with them. Sri Gosaiji announced, "Go towards Mahavan to where Govind Das sits composing kirtans and call Sri Gokulnathji from there to come here." The attendant ran, found the boy and brought him back. Only then would Sri Gosaiji partake of his prasad. Govind Das was an excellent singer, so good that Sri Gokulnathji went there to listen. Such was the Lord's grace upon Govind Das. Pausing the story of Sri Govind Das until tomorrow with part 16. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho. Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Radhe.